How's it going, everybody? My name is Daniel. I'm the brand manager of Harris Seeds Organic, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about organic seeds, what some of the work I do, and what organic brand manager position actually does, and then what we do for local farmers in the area, and trying to help you guys get awesome, high quality, high sourced seed. And so Harris Seeds, the history, we were a company started in 1879 by Joseph Harris. He originally started, or he took over the Genesee Farmer publication back in the 1850s, and from there he kind of became the seedsman of the Northeast. He produced a lot of different varieties. It went through about 3 generations in his family until about the 70s, when the family no longer wanted to own and operate the Harris Seeds name. So in the 70s, we transitioned to be owned by a private family, the Dickuses. They live in Chicago, and they own portions of other sustainable businesses like Brushy Mountain Bee Farm. They own a sprout seed company and they produce organic sprout seeds, and they're very sustainably minded, so they're putting a lot of investment, and they call this their baby, this Harris Seeds company. I mean, it's not their baby, they're kind of the adopted family now, but yeah, so they love our company, and we work really closely with them, and so we're a privately owned, family-owned company. So Harris Seeds Organic so we've been certified organic by NOFA-NY for about 15 years now. We actually just got our 15th year anniversary, which is really exciting. And in the past, Harris Seeds has kind of been more of a conventional-based seed company. It went through a culture change a couple years ago. Our president had retired, our vegetable product manager had retired. They were very conventionally minded. And then when our new president came in, and we have a new vegetable product manager now, they wanted to invest, and they wanted to help support the organic farming community. And so that's why they kind of branched off this new brand, Harris Seeds Organic. And Harris Seeds Organic, we have about 220 plus varieties of organic seed at this point. I'm looking to add about 30 to 40 more varieties. And I'll talk a little bit more about that and how I actually go about that process. So I'm the organic brand manager, and what that means is anything to do with organic seed, I have my hand on it. And that's from sourcing the seed, talking to breeders, talking to producers, talking to the other seed companies. I know that Dennis has a high mowing hat on. I love High Mowing. They're an awesome company. We actually get some seed from them. So there's actually a lot of sharing that goes on within the seed community. But my role, I am the product and brand manager. So if it's a social media post, if it's content written for the catalog, if it's purchasing a seed from a supplier, I pretty much do it all. So I go from marketing to branding, trialing. This time of the year is a year this time of the year is the best time of the year in my opinion, but also the worst time, because right now I'm writing the organic catalog for next year, but I also get to go into the field and see all these varieties that are new and coming out, and I get to go in a field and try 100 different tomatoes in one day, and that's just like this dream come true. And another thing I also do is I'm a big advocate of organic agriculture. I woofed in Australia. I did that for about 3 months. I worked on different organic farms, from vineyards to CSA programs to market gardens. And I am a huge proponent of organic agriculture and anything to do with sustainability. I actually live right down the road here off of 350 in Macedon. I got my own little homestead going there. I do a little breeding in my greenhouse. So anything to do with seed or organic agriculture, I'm all about it. And so one thing that we really is kind of our presentation of brand to the farming community or gardeners is our catalog. So the past couple of years, I've really become involved in catalog, not as much as I want to, because if you'll see throughout the presentation, there are plenty of grammar errors within this, and I am just terrible with grammar. But I think that part of our sales pitch is that catalog. And so this year we're actually doing a lot of really cool things with the catalog. We're partnering with Rodell for their ASC program, which is just CSA backwards. So we're partnering with them. We're partnering with other influencers. We're in talks with Curtis Stone right now. So there's a lot of cool things that we're doing, and you'll be able to see that within the catalog come next year. And 2017, we went from 28 pages to 2018, we had 64 pages in the catalog. Next year, we'll have 104 pages in the catalog. So we're really expanding and investing into our organic brand. So selecting new varieties, this is my favorite thing to do in my position, is to actually go to the field, look at plants, say, okay, or look at them and say, this one's better than this one, whether that's yield, whether that's the plant habit. I mean, if we're talking about beans, a lot of bigger farmers, they want that mechanical harvesting plant habit so that it's more upright and you can actually mechanically harvest it. Disease resistance is huge right now, especially to organic farmers. I mean, if you can get a variety that has disease resistance to late blight and you don't have to spray anything onto your plants, that's going to be the most ideal and sustainable practice possible. So breeders are working a lot with disease resistance right now. Appearance, flavor, those are huge for local farmers because that's their sales pitch. It's not something that's been shipped in from California, a tomato that's been picked green and then gassed and then brought here. It's flavor and appeal and appearance is something big within market gardening success. Regional adaptability, we do a lot of trials, and I'll touch base on that a little bit more. Organic breeding, I'll touch base on that. Customer loyalty, that's just talking about, everyone loves Brandywine tomatoes, but Brandywine tomatoes are a little harder to produce than, say, a hybrid tomato. So we have to sell a Brandywine tomato, but there's other varieties out there, so we always have to be, doing controls and testing next to those certain varieties. So trialing around the country, I'm actually going to California in about 3 weeks for the supplier trials out there. Bijou, Vitalis, all these big top organic seed companies are out there. They have their trials out there. I'll be going to Portland to visit a couple other smaller seed companies, Adaptive Seeds. The way I look at the organic seed community is we're all pushing for the same thing. We're all pushing for more farmers to have access to high quality seed. We're all pushing for that high quality seed. So the way we actually see if these varieties are performing in certain areas is by doing trials with farmers, and I actually won't get into that a little bit more. But we source organic seed all over the world. I'd like to say everything is produced in the United States, but that's not the nature of our business, really. Actually, one of the first organic produced seed tomatoes, the damsel tomato, was produced in California last year, and that was a hybrid production, and that's really unheard of. It was a big push for that to happen. But we get seeds from all over the country. A lot of the seeds actually produced in like Chile or Thailand or Costa Rica. Those are kind of hotbeds for organic seed production. But then also like the Northwest and Oregon, Idaho, Northern California, those are really ideal conditions for seed growing. So, we like to work with farmers in those areas, and even farmers around here like Fruition Seeds, they do a great job of producing organic, high quality seed. So farm-based input, this really helps me in my job. We have limited capabilities within our facility to actually trial everything we want to. I have probably 300 different cultivars that I got from seed companies this year, and for me to plant all 300 cultivars along with the controls is just never going to happen, especially when I have to write a catalog, especially when I'm traveling so much. So to be able to work with farmers in the area is really key for us. I know we gave some seed to Eric. He does some trials for us. Paul's doing some trials hopefully coming up in the fall here. And so to have input from you guys as farmers really helps me out in my job. And so if there's any farmers in the room today, if you guys are interested in working with a trial collaborator like myself, awesome. Basically we give you the seed, you guys plant it along with the varieties you're already growing, and then from there we can have a discussion around maybe this is what you liked better about this variety or not about this variety. And so your input, you guys are the ones talking to your customers. You're the ones who are communicating with the eaters of the world. And so if you guys are seeing something become more trendy, like maybe an Asian green or a specialty squash, those are types of things that we'd love to hear as well. So that's also another reason why we like to work with farmers and get their inputs. And then also, the other things, the consumers' opinions, the market trends, as I touched on already. So organic seed, why would you use organic seed? Especially, as an organic farmer who can, with the regulations currently, have access to buying untreated seed. Well, organic seed is bred and adapted to the systems that you guys are growing in, that disease resistance, that adaptability to a drought. These are actually research, these are happening within research organizations to see, okay, because this bean was grown within this system in this drought climate, it actually has better resistance to drought. And so that's one reason why using organic seed is actually best for organic systems, because it's been adapted and bred within those systems. And then by buying organic seed, you're actually supporting the industry. You're actually supporting the supply chain. That's kind of why the regulations are the way they are currently, is because organic seed is still being researched and produced not at the same speed as organic farmers are popping up and organic produce is becoming more prevalent. So with you guys supporting organic seed, you're actually supporting the industry as a whole and allowing us to put more infrastructure into seed production. The regulations, currently, like I had said, you guys can all use untreated seed as long as it's not available organically. Once it's available organically and in the quantities it's available, that's when you have to use organic seed. I'm on the ASTA, which is the American Seed Trade Association's organic working group. Bijou, Vitalis, High Mowing, Johnny's, these are all companies that are on that group as well. And we actually had a conversation with the NOP back in June in Washington, D.C. during the Organic Week, and they're talking at this fall convention this year about adjusting those regulations because the supply chain is actually getting to a point where organic seed is now available and organic farmers want to use it. But the real problem is with the big organic farmers. They really want to just keep using untreated seed, so it's unfortunate. But programs like the ASTA Organic Working Group help facilitate and push for more regulations like that. Germination testing, this is big within our company. We're one of the only seed companies to have a certified seed technician on staff. We do internal testing every 3 to 6 months, depending on the species we're talking about. And that's because we have to keep making sure that the seed is still viable and germinating at a standard that we hold ourselves to. And I do want to touch about that. USDA standards versus New York State standards are totally different. The USDA has a baseline minimum germination. I think on tomatoes it's about 60%. And so that's really low. New York State is about, I think, 70 to 75%. And Harris Seeds, we actually don't sell any tomato seed under 80% because once you start selling seed to a farmer and it doesn't germinate, that's really going to talk about your quality and your credibility. So we hold ourselves to a really high standard when it comes to germination testing. We've had her on staff for about 20 years now, and so she really knows her stuff when it comes to seed germination testing. And she also does a lot of differentiating testing around cold soil testing or giving it adverse effects to see how the seed actually handles it and germinates if it does. Another thing I want to talk about is seed disease and viruses. This is something that's becoming a lot more known with the whole research around microbial life. Pathogens and seed issues are popping up in certain spots where there's not very good rotations happening. So in the Northwest, black rot, which is what you see on this cabbage right now, is actually a seed pathogen that could be transferred with seed selling. So we have to look at that and then also clean the seed properly. And seed cleaning can be everything from, and I'll touch base on that in a second, but there's internal seed pathogens, which could be like verticillium, or there's other external ones as well. But we have to make sure that the seed companies and the seed breeders and the producers are actually testing and then cleaning properly. And like I said, touched on brassicas, black rot and black leg are huge right now. A lot of seed testing and research is being done around how do we properly clean the seed. Solanaceous tomato mosaic virus, tomato spotted wilt virus, and then in lettuce there's also the lettuce mosaic virus, which is, if you look at a seed catalog, the MTO is symbolizing that that's actually read at 0 mosaic tested on that actual seed. So that the diseases can transfer between seeds. And then the cleaning and treatments that are being tested right now, if you are actually going to grow seed and you want to sell that seed commercially, you have to check with your certifier on how you can properly clean that seed. We don't want to be selling seed that has diseases on it. It just will affect a whole bunch of the industry if we sell a seed that has black rot on it and then all of a sudden black rot becomes really prevalent within the Northeast. It's just something that we want to avoid altogether. And so cleaning, there's different standards for it, and you have to be really intricate around how you do like a hot water treatment because it has to be in a specific range of temperature, about 122 to about 130, and if it gets out of that range, the seed is going to get killed. So you have to be you have to know your stuff when it comes to seed cleaning, and steam treatment's another one. High Mowing's actually doing a really good job of this. They're doing a lot of research around actually cleaning the seed now, and they're kind of actually the innovators when it comes to it. So we actually bounce ideas off of them every so often. And then also, again, check with your certifier, because if you don't know whether you're doing something that's actually organic certified, it's best to just call up your certifier and say, hey, can I do this? How would I best go about doing this? And they will give you a good guidance. Another thing I want to talk about is pelleting and priming seed. It's really big right now with lettuce and carrot seed, especially with vacuum seeders becoming a lot more possible and prevalent within organic agriculture. Direct seeders, those types of crops that you're going to be direct seeding or using a vacuum seeder to plant the tray. pelleting is something that we are actually starting to source more of, more seed of. Lettuce and carrots this year are going to be pelleted for us. And then priming the seed, there's a bunch of different forms of priming. Stratification is one of them that could be considered priming, or you can even from using water to help the germination process along. And so priming is just another way to source a seed or get a seed that's actually has better germination and vigor in seedling emergence. It's actually been proven. I went out to Bijou last year, and they have this whole system based around carrot stratification that they use to actually prime the seed. And you could tell, like, based on the seedling emergence and at the same time of seeding it, that the one tray is just astronomically higher in yield and production. Seed production, if this is something that anybody in that room is interested in, like I had said, there's a lot of different organizations out there that are working on trying to promote the supply chain of seed production. You know, we all buy seeds from a seed company, but where does that seed actually come from? It's actually grown, and there are farmers out there that are actually producing the seed. And so that's another opportunity, another channel for some farmers to get into, is if they're really interested in whether that's breeding or, you know, cleaning up a parent line or actually producing a seed. That's just another avenue you guys can go into to make some extra income. The local flavor, I want to touch base on this a little bit. So more consumers are starting to become aware that local food has 10 times as much flavor and nutritional value to it. Rodell's actually working on a nutritional density study. They're basing the conventional system versus an organic system using the same exact variables. Whether that's, you know, using a fertilizer that's conventional or organic is different, but they're trying to cover crop the same. They're trying to every input's going to be the same, but what they're seeing is that over a long-term period of time, the nutritional density of that food is going to be much higher within the organic system. But again, go back to local food. A lot of these eaters out there today are watching these food documentaries, as Dennis had touched upon. They're reading books by like Joel Salatin or G. Martin Fortier, and so they're actually becoming much more aware. So our eaters today are much more conscious about our food system than they were in the past. And flavor is huge when it comes to like local food, because the more you actually ship it or travel the distance to bring it somewhere from the harvest point, it's going to just keep breaking down and losing nutritional value and flavor. Culinary Breeding Network, this is something that we're going to be at this year. It's a program, and the Culinary Breeding Network is actually an organization that focuses on culinary varieties and breeding for flavor. And so we're actually working with Cornell University to make a kale available commercially. It's a yellow golden Tuscan kale. It's like lacinato, but it's actually bright green, yellow colored. And so we're going to have this showcased at the Culinary Breeding Network, which is in New York City this year. And there's going to be a lot of different breeders, a lot of different farmers there who are showcasing and working in collaboration with chefs to actually show you know, that there is flavor being worked on and not just disease resistance within breeding new cultivars. I wanted to touch base on what we do with NOFA. We actually give a 10% discount to any NOFA members or working certified organic farms. This is the promo code right here. So if you guys order anytime in 2019, just use the 10% promo code and you guys can get 10% off. We like to support New York State agriculture and especially organic agriculture. So this is something that we really wanted to help out and just offer an extra incentive, not just to buy from us, but buy certified organic seed. High Mowing does the same thing. So I don't want to, you know, just sit here and promote Harris Seeds. There's a lot of organizations out there that are actually doing a good job of helping organic farmers succeed and have a little bit of a cost benefit to it. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Like I said, my grammar's terrible, so all of my posts are really bad with grammar errors, so don't call me out on it, but I am putting a lot more content into social media. I'm terrible at it, so give me some time, but I am trying. So if you want, I just posted a bunch of stuff from Rodell, so you can follow us on Facebook. And then I want to just say thank you guys. You guys are the organic farmers. I have the #2 greatest job in the world. And I think being an organic farmer is the #1 greatest job in the world. And you guys are doing a great job to help, you know, feed the local communities. Headwater is doing a great job of, you know, providing the community with local sourced, healthy, organic food. And, you know, this is just really helping our systems get to a point where hopefully eventually organic will overtake conventional and organic will be the next conventional. And that's really what I'm trying to push for. So if you guys have any questions for me about seed or anything, I'd love to just talk about it all day. So that was my presentation. Thank you.